Let's talk about going to Everest. I'm a former United States Marine who, after a series of poor decisions, chose to change course and prove something important, mainly to myself. Actually, completely for myself. We won't go too far into the backstory. As of right now, as we progress in this channel, we're certainly going to get into it. We're just going to get into a high level about what led me to Everest. And we're going to focus not so much on the journey itself that got me there, but we're just going to talk about Everest at a, no pun intended, high altitude overview of Everest. So, going to Everest, depending upon if you go on the north side or the south side. The south side is in Tibet. And that's a whole completely different animal because of the Chinese government and visa requirements, especially for Americans. So a lot of folks end up going the north side, which is the Nepalese side. So Nepal being, for those who may not be familiar with it, it's a semi-small country just north of India. And you will fly into Kathmandu. And Kathmandu is... that is an assault on the senses. It is just so many motorbikes, so many people, so much noise that it's just, even thinking about it is giving me anxiety. And it is such a tough place to navigate. Now, you'll find that most people speak pretty good English, or at least passable English. So that's no worries there. But it's just so much traffic. So crazy, so many motorbikes. I saw so many people get into motorbike accidents and bus accidents. I saw one person really severely injured, and it is no joke to navigate. So from Kathmandu, you head into Lukla. Now, a lot of times you'll fly in via plane. Because people do it, and there's so many limited aircraft, for me, I had to helicopter in. And that's an additional price because helicopters are a little bit more expensive than fixed wing aircraft. So talking to my tour company, shout out to Mountain Madness, which we'll discuss in further videos, especially about Scott Fisher, a great admirer of whom there's a monument, but we'll go into that in future videos. But I digress. So from Kathmandu, you're going to take a 45-minute flight with a fixed wing or helicopter into a place called Lukla. Now, Lukla is several thousand feet up. So you're already starting at somewhat of an advantage. Now, my understanding is, of course, you can walk it. You can walk from Kathmandu to Lukla, and there's a bus. But we're talking like 3-4 days. And most people, like myself, I mean, it's hard to take a month off to go to Everest. And we're talking about a month, by and large, depending upon where you're at, of course, in the world. But I'm mainly addressing this to people who from Commonwealth countries, the US, the UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, etc. But wherever you're coming from, I met folks from Africa, other extreme different parts of Asia. So it's not easy to get to, no matter where you're at. So from Lukla, every expedition starts from Lukla. And almost everybody flies in because people have got lives. And so it's more difficult to take 3 days, additional days to take a bus. So from Lukla, I met my guide. My guide is a gentleman named Dawa. And Dawa, if you see this, I love you, brother. You are my brother. I'll share something as we progress in this video and other videos. He is top notch. I love Dawa. So I met up with Dawa, and I'm a bigger, huskier guy. I'm not, just because I made it to Everest doesn't mean I'm just super stud, by no means. I've got a little bit of a dad bod going, but I'm strong, and when I have that resolute mindset that's gotten me through things, that's the important part, is having that positive mindset. And that's 95% of it. So my guide, Dawa, was told my guy Dell first asked, well, how will I know who's Mike, my client? And somebody at the Kathmandu airport told him, well, look for the fat one. And then I was like, I'm not that fat. But maybe I was fatter at the time, I don't know. And then he met up with me, and I asked him, and he's like, how'd you know it was going to be me? He's like, oh, they said you had a big beard, and I had a big beard at the time, and the fat one. And again, English is a second language for folks, and no matter where you're at in the world, if English is a second language for you, you have or any language really, you have a tendency to be more direct. And they're direct. But in a nice way, in a super gentle, beautiful way, in the Sherpa way. So met up, and from Lukla, we went and did a 2.5-week journey to get to Everest. Now, as we progressed, it got more and more difficult. It was, at certain points, I lost my appetite. Again, I mentioned I'm a bigger guy, so I love to eat. I love good Mexican food, I good Italian food. Love me a pizza, love me a cheesesteak, being from Philadelphia. And if I was in Nepal, I would have momos, which are Nepalese water buffalo dumplings, which are amazing. Amazing. Apparently, Dala's wife, when I go see them, apparently she'll make some momos for me. So I'm looking forward to that. All right. And as you progress through getting to the base camp of Mount Everest, it is colder and colder and colder. Now, it's more up to date in that you're staying at tea houses. So you're not staying in tents along the way. And I was fully prepared even before I went on this journey to stay in a tent, but that's not how it works. You stay in tea houses. And so, and when you're closer to Lukla, you have more and more accommodations. You have better Wi-Fi, better food, better sleeping arrangements, blah, blah, blah. But of course, as you progress throughout the mountain, those accommodations get lesser and lesser. The Wi-Fi is not as good, if at all. The food's not as good, and things of that nature. Now, the day before, I won't bore you with all the intricacies of a lot of it was just me huffing and puffing. But having that mindset, I'm going to keep pushing. Now, even though this had been a dream come true, and we'll talk a little bit about what led me to Everest, specifically books and stories, and then challenges that I had in my own life. But it was my second day. I couldn't breathe. It was the longest day. It was like a 9-hour type deal. And it was like only 4 miles. Now, 4 miles doesn't sound like a lot, but that's for people who've never been in the mountains. If you've been in the mountains, and if you've been in the Himalayas, 4 miles that's no joke. I'd rather do 20 miles, 30 miles on sea level than do 4 miles in the Himalayas. It would be easier. Not necessarily quicker, but it would be easier. Trust me. But of course, I'm a bigger person, so it's more mass to get against gravity and all that kind of good stuff. And on my second day, here I am in Nepal, not being able to breathe, not being able to eat properly because I just don't have an appetite. And I'm thinking, in my mind, maybe I can't do this. Maybe I don't have the ability to do this. But I had traveled across the world, met my own demons, and I was like, I'll fucking die here. But I'm not going back. I may die here, but and you can say that's bullshit or that's bravado, or maybe that's stupid of me. I mean, it's the internet, so people are going to have whatever their opinions they're going to have. But I was serious. This was just like, I'm going to fucking die here if I need to. There's no turning back for me because I need to do this. Because I'd almost lost myself. I had lost myself even before I got to this point. But I pushed through on that second day. And then as time progressed, put foot after foot, not being able to breathe properly. And for those who've been to the Himalayas, you know what I'm talking about. The day before we made it to the base camp, I I was so cold. I had every piece of clothing I could put on. I had my boots on. I was in my sleeping bag. We were in a tea house. I was still chilled to the bone. And I got to go to the bathroom. And the toilet, it's one of those traditional, I'm not going out of my way to try and insult people. I really don't know the name of it. But it's a toilet where you have to do you do the squat. And then I'm like, fuck, if I go in there, I'm gonna be like this, and I'm probably gonna shit all over my pants. So I start rationalizing the benefit to me shitting my pants. True story. I was like, if I shit my pants right now, I'll be warm for a second, and then I can change out all these clothes for fresh clothes as I get to the base camp. That was my mindset. It's high up. We're at like 18,500 feet. Spoiler alert, I don't shit my pants. I know it would have been better if I'd shit my pants, but I don't shit my pants. And then the next day, we make it, it's about 4 hours of trekking. We make it to the base camp. And if you look at the photo that's on my YouTube or social media account, you see a picture of me and my dad. I took a picture of my dad up, and we'll go into future videos as far as why that was the case and what inspired me to do that. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about people who I met along the way, and especially about the Sherpa people who I have absolute adoration for. I have no doubt whatsoever my guy, Dawa, again, love you, brother. Zem, namaste, brother. I have no doubt he would have risked his life to save mine. And on the way to the base camp, I had no appropriate gloves that I thought, but I couldn't feel my right hand. It was so cold, I couldn't feel my right hand. So Dawa knows a technique that I didn't know beforehand. I put my right hand underneath his armpit. So here we are. We're basically just two assholes stuck in the middle of nowhere. No one's around, and here I have my hand in his armpit, and we're just two assholes just standing around. And I'm so appreciative for it. And not only that, he gave me his pair of gloves. I'm like, no, I can't. What about you? And he's like, oh, I'm fine, because he grew up in that area. But that just goes to show the type of man not only Dawa is, but the beauty of the Sherpa people. That my guide is risking his appendages to make sure I'm okay. And so I always made sure when he asked me, hey, how are you doing today? I knew it wasn't, I know in language when we say, hey, how's it going? How are you doing? It's meant more of a greeting than it is like, how are you doing? Because most of us are like, hey, like, how are you doing? Well, my chick did this and I'm broke and blah, blah. And it's like, oh, fuck, this fucking guy. I'm sorry I even asked. So it's meant more of a greeting than really caring about how you're doing. But when Dawa would ask, like, well, how are you? How are you feeling? I always make sure I give him a good answer. I'm a little tired. I'm a little lethargic. I have a headache. This is how I'm feeling. Maybe I'm not drinking, blah, blah, blah. I gave him hey, this is how I'm actually feeling, because I didn't want to leave him, because he'd be stuck with the after effects of having to take care of me. So I want to make sure I gave him a good answer and checked in properly. And that's what led me to, that's kind of an overview of Everest for me and of getting there. And again, it's hard. You can't breathe properly. But if I could do it, you can do it. And on the way, it took us about 5 days to get back. And the air got better. The appetite came roaring back. And when we got back to Lukla, and I made sure to tip Dawa, and we also had a porter who carried my stuff. That's important. Shout out to the porters who carry the stuff for Westerners. Otherwise, it just wouldn't work. And I remember looking at the other climbers who were ready to do their expedition, and I was like, a feeling of pride. It's like, wow, I fucking did this. And as we progress in future videos, or you looked at story number 1, how I grew up. Here I am, a kid from Philly, and I just got into the foot of the tallest mountain in the world. If I can do these things, you certainly can. Have that resolute climb in your own life.